Welcome, everybody, to the Big Book Roundtable in the RICO 12 family of recovery resources. We target these resources at people from all backgrounds, faiths, and places dealing with all addictions, all afflictions, every fellowship out there. We are not specific to any particular fellowship, though we each belong to different specific fellowships. RICO 12 is also a resource for the loved ones of those who are suffering, to try and help them understand recovery, help them understand the principles in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. We go through line by line, reading from and diving fairly deep into the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm just really grateful to be here with David G. and Nikki M. I typically don't take a lot of time to give a little background on what I'm doing, but I'm Justin B. I'm a multidisciplinary addict living in recovery. The last few days, I have had the amazing blessing of recovery, of hanging out with my dad, who lives 1,000 miles away. He came up to visit. We've been fishing. We've been out in nature. We've driven around some beautiful country up here in the inland Northwest. I'm in Spokane, Washington. We've visited Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and we've just been doing a lot of really neat things, connecting, and just it's been really good to catch up with my dad and connect with him. And I'm really grateful to be able to do that. Now let's have Nikki and David introduce themselves. Nikki, why don't you start us off? Say hi and share a little tidbit about you today.
Hi, I'm Nikki M, and I'm just so grateful to be here. I'm a proud member of many, many fellowships. And right now I'm just, I was so grateful listening to you, Justin, just going, in an old life and my old ideals, my old self, I would have been like, I need a dad like that. And I'm just sitting here going, man, that's awesome. I'm so happy for my brother, Justin, that he got to spend this time with dad. It's just I know I'm recovered today because I'm happy for other people. That's a miracle. I'm a greedy person.
I love it, Nikki. All right, David, how about you? Introduce yourself, a little tidbit about
you. Yeah, absolutely. David G., alcoholic addict, many sorts. Living, I love what you say, and the miraculous, the recovery. And, I lost someone very close to me this week. It was an aunt, but she's been my mother for many years. And, I'm at such peace with that. Wow. How does that happen? Because before I would be into judgment. I'd be blaming somebody. You guys should have done this. You should have done that. The doctor's nurse should have been more. But I'm very grateful for the life that I had with this lady, the things that she taught me and instilled into me. So I love hearing about you and your dad. Take lots of advantages of those times because, and I'm just grateful. They found out that she had stomach cancer and she had a long road ahead with suffering. God took her quick. And I love that. Thank you. And I'm going to fly to Australia, do a workshop with about 100 men. I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a service. And, I get the blessing to do that today. Wow. Things are great. Love my God. Love you guys. Thanks.
Thank you, David, and our condolences, but also our the peace that you feel and convey in that loss of your aunt. That's just as inspiring. And I hope that when that day comes, when, my father, my mother, whoever, someone very close to me passes, I feel that same peace through applying these principles of recovery. Today, we're going to continue our reading in the chapter 5, How It Works. We're on page 59, and this is where the steps of recovery are finally explained, finally delineated and laid out. Yes, we've covered a lot of those things in the previous things, talking about step 1, step 2, step 3. We've talked about these things, but now we're finally getting to define them. And I find it fascinating that it's 59 pages in that we get there. So we'll be covering that up through page 60, ending with the paragraph that ends with, if he were sought. So we will be there. We'll be reading that. So here we go. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed, and became willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. And 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guidelines to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if He were sought. Okay, so there's our reading for this conversation today around the round table. Let's start with some of our takeaways, some of the things that jump out at us. Nikki, today we're going to start with you. As you go through what we read today, what are some of the things that jump out at you that you'd like to dive deeper into?
Wow, there's just so much here. I mean, we could just have read step 1 and talked about it. So really here, right where we started reading, here are the steps we took. It does not say, here are the steps we read and talked about. Like it says action there. And I'm going to read the big book. can I find a reading partner? No, this is an action program. And these 12 steps are to be done every day, all day. I think, I'm working on my step 3 decision. It's a decision you do every day. So every day I have to admit I'm powerless. Every day, and that my life is unmanageable every day. And this is a process. I have to come to believe in a power. Again, no one is looking for God when they come in this program. We're looking for power. This is a process, not an event. Restore me to sanity. And that promise should come true. Again, by step 10, I'm getting better. Make a decision every day to turn my will, that's my thinking, my life, that's my actions, to the care of this power. And again, it's how I understand it. So if you're listening and you don't have a powerful God, go get one. Get the most powerful God. Make a searching and fearless every day. It doesn't say easy, does it? Searching and fearless. That's not easy. Moral. It doesn't say action. I need your morals. Why did you do it? Not what did you do of yourself. Nikki, stop taking a moral inventory of your prime minister, of all the family, of everyone around you. This is about you. And it just keeps going down. Every day I have to admit this to somebody, to the right person, the exact nature. The exact nature is that I'm irresponsible. I'm lazy. I'm lustful. I'm dishonest. It's not my actions. My actions, my thoughts and my ideas lead me, but that's my nature. And every day I have to have this power remove all. A lot of times it says all in here. I make a list of all. I get humble every day. There's prayers that come with this, and we go deeper in the book in this, and I have to make a direct, that's one-on-one to such people, basically the human race, and I love this part, and everyone misses this, except when to do so. I got to go write a letter. That's when you can't see somebody. There's exact directions in this book, and people just read the surface of it and think they've done it. And there's so many instructions in here. It says, don't worry, because there's some amends you can't do if you can honestly say you would write them if you could. And everyone's running around like a chicken with their head cut off, making the amends the wrong way. I watch it, and then they get sick and they go out. Continue every day. This is step 10. I mean, David said it. You can do it from every day you start this stuff. 11, I'm a seeker. Oh, I should have introduced myself that way. Hi, I'm Nikki M, and I'm a seeker. I'm seeking through prayer to pray only. Pray only. There's some key words in here. It says pray only for knowledge. Meanwhile, I'm praying for some money to fix my house that the neighbors have destroyed. Like, it doesn't say that. For God's will. So this is so powerful. In step 12, having a spiritual awakening every day as a result of these steps, this program. So radical. And I love here, don't be discouraged. This is for, especially this paragraph, Al-Anon's, codependence. No one is perfect. Everyone's a perfectionist that I sponsor, it seems, myself included. No one, it says no one, and I put line out, including Nikki, can maintain perfect adherence to this is a spiritual program. I just have to be willing to grow. I circled claim spiritual progress. Again, progress, never perfection. And here it is. I can't wait to hear what David says about this. I do have a question. David, maybe you can go back into it. I'd love to hear other people's ideas. Before and after what? Personal adventures before and after what? The first thought, the first act, the first bite. What is that? These 3 pertinent ideas. And every day I have to know this, that Nikki, I can't manage my life. No, I did a thorough step 1. I wanted to die and murder my lover. It's sick for me. No, I don't even like that word probably. How about no human power? I am beyond human aid. So if everyone's running to their therapist, running back to a rehab, to a body broker facility, right? Big money in America, in North America, Canada for this rehabs. You're beyond human aid. Nothing can relieve my alcohol. I love that word, ism, myself. Nothing can relieve me from me. God, this power, love, humility, gratitude, being responsible, forgiveness, faith and courage, trust, could, would, will, if, there's a caveat, if I seek this power every damn day. God, I need you guys. I need to be reminded because I've been slipping off the beam, Miss Perfect over here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you for going through that. David, as we read through that, talk to us a little bit about some of the things that we need to be aware of that jump out at you through these couple of pages of readings.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so
also, if you wouldn't mind addressing that question she had too, the before and after. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's just so good to hear you break this down this way. And my take on it is pretty much the same way. Here are the steps we took. We're talking about the first 100 people that wrote the book. 40, whatever it may be. It's probably 40 and they called it 100, but they took the steps. They're not writing about some shit that they think would be a pretty good idea. No, they took action. And it's suggested, and people say all the time, well, that's just suggested. I don't really have to do it. It's suggested. And it's like they say in AA all the time, you can pee on an electric fence if you want to, but we really suggest you don't do that, And so a program of recovery, I talked about it before. It's not a part of recovery. The steps are recovery. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol. Remember that we looked at this. We're powerless for 2 reasons, not one. Once I put it in my body, I can't quit. Once I take it out, I can't stay away. My mind always leads me back. I'm completely powerless over whatever it may be. My life has become unmanageable as a completely separate issue. It's unmanageable because of a hole on the inside of me that can't be filled by anything I've ever tried. And so if I'm powerless in step 1, then obviously the answer is power in step 2. And if insanity is driving me out the door against my will over and over and over, or it's got me stuck in my sobriety and my recovery, then obviously sanity has to be the answer to that. So both of those words are found in that next step, came to. That's past tense. We've already come to believe in something years ago as a kid. Of course we did. You can't tell me that you didn't, even if you're an atheist and never believed. You believed in your own reasoning. That's what our book said. So you came to, that's past tense, believe that a power greater than self can restore us to sanity. It doesn't say we come to believe in a power. It says we come to believe that a power. There's a damn big difference in the way that's worded. Don't tell me you can't believe in this because you know what? That's not a requirement here. We don't care. But you're going to have to believe that something. Do you believe that these 3 sitting around this table has made contact with a power you haven't? What about other people you know? If that's the case, then you've taken step 2. And if you remember all the way back in the very front of the book, and shit, we went over this months ago. It seemed like, there was a question back there. And it seemed like it says, do I believe that this program can work for me too? That was one of the questions way back in the forwards. And yes, have I felt like that? Most important, or yes, I believe the program can work for me too. And that was on, what is that, Roman numeral 7? When I have a guy answer that question from his heart all the way back there, then he's already taken step 2 as far as I'm concerned, as far as the mechanics of it. And so step 3, made a decision to turn our will. And we always hear that's our thinking, and our life, that's our actions. It's not saying that we're going to give our life to God. It's saying that we're going to turn it over to the care of. I had a son that drowned when he was 6 years old. And you know what? If I'd have brought him to you prior to that to take care of, I would have expected you to do that until I was healthy enough to come back and do it. That's the same thing we're doing here. In page 85, we're healthy enough to come back. It says we can use our thinking or our willpower along these lines all we wish. It's the proper use of the will. So we'll get it back. Trust me. And it's God as we understood him, not God as we understand him. That's a misquote. And hell, it's written in, it's italicized here for a reason. I don't understand God. The book says nobody can conceive, and comprehend that power, which is God. So what I understood at 1 year was different at 5. What I understood at 5 was different at 10, 10 at 15, 15 to 20, 25 to 30. What I've understood continues to grow as I grow. It's God as we understood him, not God as I understand him. Searching and fearless moral inventory. I mean, most people are not even to that place. And the ones that have buzzed on through it and say, hey, I've written an inventory, probably didn't even come close. Man, I work with guys all the time that have a great number of years of recovery in the program. And when we get to the inventory, the way that we do it through the process, they're like, oh my God, I've never seen this before. So, and I like how Nikki continued to break down the rest of the steps. I'm not going to go through all that for time's sake, but I can just say, like she said, there are a lot of keywords here: humbly, all, willing, direct. Step 9, made direct amends to such people. Notice this keyword: wherever possible, not whenever. Had a guy the other day, got him to the 9th step, and he said, okay, I'll start calling people. I was like, no, don't do that. He's like, why? That's what we do. So that's not what we do. Not according to the direction of the book I read. It says wherever God puts that person, it's going to be, I'm going to know in here that I'm ready to make this. So it's not whenever I think it's a good idea, because they might not be ready for the amends. I don't know if they are or not, but God does. And so I need to look for the wherever. There's 2 things I need in amends. One is willingness. The other is opportunity. The opportunity may be there, but I don't have the willingness. The next time I may have the willingness, but the opportunity is not there. Those 2 have to line up, willingness and opportunity. And when they do, that's wherever. And I'm ready to make the amends. God will make that happen. He will. But I can't do it if it's going to injure someone else emotionally, physically, any of that. So, and moving over to that last paragraph, I could break down the rest of these, but I think Nikki did a very beautiful job of doing that. Many of us exclaimed, what an order, I can't go through with it. I hear that all the time. I can't really do that. I can't do that. Well, don't be discouraged, because none of us has really done it, perfectly. We're not saints. In other words, that's saying we're not holy. We're going to make mistakes here as we go through this, but that's the point of a good sponsor. But here's the point: that we're willing to grow. Are you willing to grow? And if you are along these lines and abandon self, then yeah, there's some principles here that we're going to sit out. And the principles are what's going to guide us. See, my sponsor's a good man. I love him. And in a part, he guides me. But it's really the principles that guide me. It's not him. He's just given me his experience along the way. And claim this for yourself. You know what? I may not do this perfectly, but I've progressed through this. I don't have perfection, but I've progressed. So our description of the alcoholic, that's step 1. That's what the first 3 chapters was all about. They showed us the description of the alcoholic or the addict or whatever it may be. Step 2, the chapter to the agnostic. It showed us our beliefs. It showed us the things that we believed in that failed us. It's fake news. And so now we get to see the truth. And our personal adventures, and here's addressing that question as I see it through my experience. My personal adventures before I drank, before I drug, before I ate, before I lust, before I did all those things, and after I quit. Make clear 3 pertinent ideas, which means relevant. That I'm an alcoholic or whatever it may be, there should be a question mark there. And I cannot manage my own life because obviously I believe in the fake news. I believe things that aren't true. Self deceives me. So that's what chapter 2 was all about. It was to bring to light this parenthesized A. I'm an alcoholic and I cannot manage my own life because it's self that's been managing my life without my knowing. B, that probably no human power could relieve our alcoholism. That's what we've seen in chapter 3, over and over and over, how the insanity beat them over and over and over. We depended on our sponsors. We depended on the fellowship. We depended on the church. We depended on our wife, on partners, on people in recovery, and that's all good. We got to have those things. But I can promise you they can't relieve this. They can't. I mean, they can help me, but they're not going to be the one to relieve it. There's only one that can, and there's only one that will. Keyword, if I saw him. And we found that out in chapter 4. If you remember back on page 57, right before we came into this, it said, even so, God has restored us all to our right minds. Hell of a promise. This man, the revelation was sudden. Some of us going more slowly. But here's the great promise. He's come to all who has honestly, keyword, honestly, sought him through this process as outlined in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. God can and God will. But there's some work we're going to have to do. You know, if you're going to pray for potatoes, bring a hoe because your ass is going to work. So anyway, good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Man, good stuff. Questions? Nikki, progress, not perfection. Talk to us a little bit about that. Dive deeper into progression, not perfection.
Oh, that's a good question. Let me think about that because I always used to be like, as a Virgo, I like perfection, but no, it's more than my astrology sign. It's my disease of alcoholism. We're going to read it soon. It's me, the actor who wants to run the entire show. If only I manage well. And so what does that look like? That looks like really, it says right here, and I'll just read it because this part really about perfection, because I found my way into the rooms from Al-Anon. So I have to really read To the Wives, which says, it says on page 117, but all problems won't be solved at once. Seed, it's a mustard seed in new soil. I'm like a baby. Babies fall down. Babies get back up. Teenagers mess up. We have to learn through these mistakes. I was telling David, when you went away, you went to get something that, I've been through some trials and low spots in the last month or so. And it says right here, there will be ups and downs. And I love this. Your old problems, your old thinking, your old habits, all this, it will still be with you. And it says, this is how it should be, Nikki. Why? The faith and sincerity of both you and your husband. I don't have a husband. So the faith and sincerity of both me and my God squad right here, Justin B. and David G. It's going to be put to the test. And it says, this is a workout and I should regard it as my education. And then it says, I'm just learning to live. So you have to remind myself and my sponsees, and we all said it, we're asleep. I don't know what the hell I've been doing for these past few decades. And I'm just waking up. And if anyone's listening, I think the world is just waking up. We're in 2024 and things are really strange in the universe. And so my mistakes, will not drag me down if I'm earnest, if I'm sincere. So what does that look like? Progress, not perfection. It looks like me knowing this book. See, I'm in a 12-step program that comes with a book. I better believe my book and follow these instructions, know it, believe it, do it every day, because this is the program. This is my course. Because as David said, religion didn't work. I mean, Justin, I know where you come from. Your religion didn't work. These things don't work for me. And going here and doing this in a higher education, I'm a jack of all trades, master of the big book. No, not master of the big book, but I'm a jack of all trades, master of nothing. And so I have to keep reminding myself, what does the book say? It says I'm not a saint. Thank you.
Thanks, Nikki, for going into that. David, I love how you emphasize the past tense in those. We came to believe God as we understood him. Talk to us a little bit about that, the importance and the progression, I guess, of that past tense and what it turns into as we put those things into action.
Well, being asleep to self, we're really not able to see that we have depended more on the power of reasoning than we have on the power of God, even though we thought that we were seeking God all along. I think that's a big deception. As a child, I can remember my grandmother dragging me to a Pentecostal church, and I absolutely hated it. I just did not want to be there. But there was some kind of power and excitement in that room, and I knew it. And so, I came to some kind of understanding then. So for me, whenever I really, really looked at this step back, and I've been through the steps many, many times in 25 years, but as you all know my story, it's, it became very real and a very real experience in 2019. And so when I looked at that, came to, and you'll hear all this stuff around the fellowship. Oh, we came to from drinking, we came to meetings, and we came to this, and finally we came to believe. But for me, that's not what it's talking about. It's saying that, we've came to that a while back, as when we were younger or growing up, or even being in the fellowship for a long time. My question always is, how has that worked out for you? How's that worked out? And if you're stuck and you're confused and you're having a lot of problems and ideas in your recovery, but you're sober, hiding behind that badge of sobriety, but not really wanting to tell the truth, that you're acting out watching porn every day, then how's that working out? So for me, came to is past tense. It's something we've already done. But now, we're looking to believe that a power, not in a power, that can restore our sanity. And that's not me peeing in a water fountain downtown while I'm drunk and acting like a damn fool, like I've done many times. That's talking about the insane things that I believe whenever it comes to this power. Oh, you're going to die and burn in hell the rest of your life, David. Yeah, I don't believe that shit no more. I just don't. And you know what? There's a great freedom in that. If you believe it, that's your business. God as we understood him, that jumped at me like nothing else ever had. Because when I go to meetings, I hear people say, all I need to do is find a God that I can understand. God as I understand him. I hear that over and over and over, but my book, says something different. It says it here in the third step. And if you look at step 11, and if you're looking at it on the walls in a meeting hall, it's underlined both times. It's God as we understood him. So for me, if I understand something, that's final. That's it. I don't really need to seek any more of that, because now I understand. I'm there. I understand my job. There are certain things about my job that I understand. I don't need to go back and keep chasing that. I understand now. But what I've understood is there's things that I can do to improve my relationship, to improve my skills with that. And it's the same thing here. This is God as we understood him, and not as God as I understand him. And this is so powerful for me to finally be able to see that this book is not asking me to give my life to God. It's asking me to turn my thinking and my actions, which obviously has been our problem in the prior 58 pages. We've seen this over and over and over and over and over. That's what it's asking me to turn over to the care of. Okay, I'm going to hand this over to the care of you. I'm going to do the work you've outlined for me here. And when I'm healthy, you're going to hand that back to me. And now I'm going to do it your way, not the way that I think it should be done. Obviously, we see how that's worked out. And once I do that, I get to live in the disciplines of 10, 11, and 12 now. And I get to practice this entire damn book in those 3 steps. And man, it's just beautiful. It is. So no longer am I suffering from things that haven't happened to me yet. I used to run around, oh my God, this is going to happen one of these days. You ever read about Snoopy? Let me tell you real quick about Snoopy. Man, he's the most spiritual dude you ever met. And I want him for a sponsor. He was sitting on the cliff one day at the edge of the cliff with Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown looked over at him sad, man. He was sad. He said, Snoopy, one day we're going to all die. And Snoopy looked back at him and said, yeah, but all the other days we're going to live. I like Snoopy. So anyway, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And thank you, David. Love that. All right, real quick, let's do some takeaways here. Nikki, what's a takeaway that you got from our conversation and reading today?
Do not be discouraged. This is not easy, everybody. And page 30, many pursue it to the gates of insanity or death. So please do not be discouraged. If you're relapsing and you can't stop, stay. If you feel alone, come back. This is the fellowship for you. We take everyone. Please do not be discouraged. You're home.
Thank you, Nikki. How about you, David? What's a takeaway for you?
Yeah, I could and would if he were sought. If you're stuck in your recovery, you've been here for a long time, but you're having a lot of issues, get a hold of us. And we're going to help you to connect with this power. But there's a condition you're going to have to seek. And if what you've been seeking, you've got good people in your life, hey, that's great. I love that. But if it's just not somehow quite working out, or you still feel a little empty on the inside, it's okay to seek for a new experience here, because God could and would. Thanks.
And thank you. Thank you. My takeaway, I think, is that, these steps are, there's the words all and every day and every in there, and progress, not perfection, once again. But I get to apply these principles in all my affairs. And as I do that, that's how I grow spiritually. That's how I grow in life and in effectiveness in my service with others. So that's my takeaway from this, the all and every of this program. All right, everybody, get in there, jump in, get into work. Don't be discouraged, and just keep pressing forward. Join us in this fellowship of the Spirit and come trudge this adventurous and amazing road of happy destiny with us. Work it. You are worth it.